Hi everyone, Grant K here for the Flame Premium Learning channel. In this video series, we're going to take a look at projection, which is available in Action. Seasoned flame artists have been using projections for years, and it's definitely a powerful tool worth knowing. If you would like to try some of the techniques I'm about to go through, please click the link in the YouTube description to download the media. Alternatively, if you're watching the podcast version of this video, then type the link displayed in your internet browser. So what exactly is a projection? The primary definition of projection within the context of Action is to project an image onto any 3D geometry. You can also think of this as another form of texturing. The applications of this tool are quite vast. You can texture an object or apply multiple textures to any object with multiple projections. You could project a single texture across multiple objects, or limit certain objects to be textured with the projection within Action. You can also project your images directly through the camera. This, in tandem with 3D tracking, can be used in the 3D environment to aid in the cleanup of a shot or performing a set extension. And you can also fake real-world occurrences such as reflections and other real-world type effects. Before we do any user case scenarios, it's a good idea to familiarize yourself with the types of projections in Action and how they differ from each other. First off, I've created a 3D extended bicubic surface and deformed it in 3D space. I am using a curved geometry to show you how the projection will affect the 3D object as it is textured. But you can easily project onto a flat 3D surface object. In fact, a lot of use case scenarios use projection on flat surfaces to solve some 2D issues with 3D concepts. You'll see more of this in later videos. The first way to project an image is with the Projector Node. In the Action Bin menu, select your entry to project onto the surface. The media can have an alpha channel which respects transparency. In the Action Node bin, double-click on the Projector Node. The projector is a free-floating object in 3D space, so you can grab the object in the result view or in the Action schematic and move it around. This means you can place it in any position and angle in 3D space, and it will project onto the targeted 3D object. This behavior is similar to the lights in Action. You can move it around and focus the projection similar to a light. It is important to note that the projection will wrap around the geometry based on the projection, and it will not respect the geometry's own UVs. This makes it easier to position the texture on the geometry. So keep in mind that the projection is not locked to the object that it is projecting onto. Therefore, moving the object will leave the projection behind. If you want to keep the projection locked to the 3D surface, just go to the Action Node bin. Use an axis node as the parent for the projector and the 3D object. You can now move the axis that will in turn move everything connected to it in the node branch in 3D space. Now double-click on the projection for its controls. Firstly, with this type of projection, it is important to point out that the texture projects onto the surface but does not overwrite an existing surface texture. So for example, if you were projecting a logo onto a wall or product, the projection will apply itself on top of the existing image. And just so that you know, if you had multiple projections on a 3D object, you can select any of the projectors and change the projection order to choose what you see first. Another function to aid with compositing is the blending modes. This is only available in this type of projection. You would use the pull-down menu to choose a blend mode to help blend the projection onto the receiving 3D geometry. You can use the position and rotation sliders to orientate the projection. However, if you want to size the projection, you need to move the projector in Z space to adjust the projector's distance from the 3D object. Now, this means of projection is fine for isolated scenarios like projecting a logo, pack shot, or similar. For image cleanup, set extensions, or even creating 3D from a flat 2D image, the projection needs to come from the camera's point of view. So flat 2-dimensional images can be given the appearance of being 3-dimensional. This allows for a certain amount of camera movement as well as perspective in 3D space. Projecting through the camera also avoids unwanted distortions when the 3D geometry is curved or at an angle from the main camera. Now you can use the projector object to project through the camera. By parenting the camera to the projector and resetting all the projector's object transformations, you can align them together. You also need to match the projector's field of view to the camera. So there are quite a few steps to get to this point. An easier way is to use the next type of projection. I'll delete the current projector. Go to the Action Bin menu. I'll select my image again in the media list. This time, I'll apply a diffuse map to the 3D surface. The default texturing of the diffuse map is to wrap the image around the surface's UVs. This results in the distortion we currently see. To project the texture through the camera, switch the texture mode to projection. The image is now projected through the selected camera in the pull-down menu. Everything is automatically lined up, and no tweaking is necessary to align the image to the camera. So there is no projector object in this case. The projector is coming directly from the camera. So if you orbit the scene or move the object, the texture stays locked to the camera and everything else moves. If you look at this from the working view, which is mapped to space F4, orbiting around the scene, you'll get the idea that the texture is projected from the camera. Please note that this type of projection replaces the original texture because this is a diffuse map. This method of projection will also not give you the blend modes from the projector object. However, all the texture controls, such as the diffuse color, softness, texture repeat, etc., are available through the texture projection. Another huge point to remember is that all the map textures can be projected through the camera. Diffuse, emissive, normal, position, specular, parallax, and UV maps can all be projected. These create some really interesting and unique effects that we may cover in later videos. Now I have a very rough displacement map that I painted earlier. Go ahead and combine it with the diffuse map connected to the 3D geometry. Now let's go to the displacement map controls. Ensure you are looking through the result camera. With shading enabled, adjust the Z displacement under the displacement direction. When using flat displace, the displacement moves in the Z direction, causing the distortions in the image. A different distortion occurs when displacing along the normals of the 3D geometry. Switching to camera displace, the displacement map is projected through the camera's frustum. This means that you will see the extrusions appear, but they won't distort the image in the camera's field of view. I'll just soften off the displacement. Pressing Shift 4 to look at the top view, you can see the displacement and it's aligned through the camera. So if we return to the result and add a light into the scene, you can create some really dramatic effects using the 3D environment. And finally, if you were to use the working view or another camera, the projected texture and displacement allows for a bit of movement and perspective. The final place to enable a projection is through a 3D shape. When a texture is assigned as a 3D shape, just press the Media Projection button in the 3D Shape menu to get a similar result to the projected texture maps. There will be more projection videos coming soon, covering a variety of user scenarios. Comments, feedback, and suggestions are always welcome and appreciated. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe to the Flame Premium Learning channel for future videos.